And, you know, I mean, there's always this misconception that the director tells the composer what to do. It doesn't work like this. The composer is supposed to come up with the ideas that the director can't come up with, and which is the sort of a problem, actually. You know, I'd much rather the director would just tell me, "Can you make it sound like that?" You know, usually, you know, it ends up being, you know, can you make it sound different? Can you make it sound new? You know, and you try to figure out from the story. The only way you write is story. You know, you just focus on the story and stay on the character, and the characters will guide you. Most of the directors I work with, they have a really strong visual handwriting, and so you get the style. You know what will work and what will not work. I just think because we had this idea of a very small motif for Batman, and everybody was copying it, and every movie right now sounds the same. Gladiator had 19 themes, yes. You know, so that's 10 years ago, right? Pirates, you know, that's more recent. It had lots of themes, you know. It's just right now everybody's stuck on this stupid idea, which was just appropriate for this character. You know, in the 3 Batman movies, that we don't really have a long theme. Actually, there is a long theme in Batman. It's just nobody seems to go, "Oh, that's the main theme." No, I think you do what is appropriate, what you think is appropriate to the movie. So what has always been nice is that we composers, because we don't have to rely on our spoken word, can work anywhere and can work on anything. Each film is, you need to give it a really iconic sound, you know, and I don't think it's just the music. You want to give, you want to make a whole audio world, you know, and you want to, that is the sound effects, that is everything that goes on, and goes all the way to the way it's lit, to the way the movie looks. And so I work very hard at trying to find very small fragments that will tell you in less than 1 second that this, oh, you're in the right movie, you know. Batman Begins, if you think about the structure of a film like that, it's a Batman movie, but it's the creation of Batman, so you don't actually get Batman for an hour or so. But so I wanted to do something right at the beginning, you know, the sound effect, really, where you knew, okay, hang on, when you hear this, he will be coming, so that halfway through the sitting in the movie you don't think, oh my god, you know, I'm in the wrong movie. You try to work, you know, as a team, and it's important that you're very, you know, the reason I live in Hollywood is and I work with European directors mostly, and they all live in Hollywood, because it's just geographically, it makes it very easy for us all to be together, you know, and I like having the director right there, you know, and sometimes the collaboration is, we don't even have to talk, you know, you just sit in the same room and the right things will start happening. I think some really interesting people came out of there. I mean, I think John Powell is an amazing composer, Harry Gregson Williams, etc., etc. But the whole point is, you know, it's like you can only stay there for a little while, and then you have to go out into the world and do your own thing. And it's fun. It's fun hanging out, you know, having buildings full of equally crazy people that, you know, sometimes when I go home at 4 o'clock in the morning and I look at the car park and all the other cars are still there, I feel really guilty. You know, ooh, I'm the first one to go home, you know, I'm not working hard enough. That's sort of, because composers are strange, nerdy people, you know, so, and just to be able to talk about music, you know, because music comes first in our lives, so it's really nice to have other people who want to be part of that conversation. They come from bands, you know, where you always work with other people, and I always like the idea that, You know, I like the idea of play. Music is playing, and playing is with other people. You know, and music comes alive when you have other musicians around you, and ideas come alive when you have other musicians. The greatest thing about having collaborators, having other people there, is when I sit there by myself writing something, I'm never alone, because there's always a critic on my shoulder saying, don't do this, no, this is too crazy, don't do it. You know, and it's great to just open the door and there's a Harry Gregson Williams walking around and saying, hey Harry, come have a listen to this, what do you think of this? And I'm going, oh no, that's great, push it more. You know, so they help you have the courage to go and try new experiments, because sometimes you don't want to use the director for this. So when I started with Stanley as his assistant, on the first day I was in a room with Nick Rogue, you know, one of the great directors, and they were talking about a scene and you know, how the music should work, and so there was a problem, you know, an unsolved problem. This piece of music was not written, they didn't even know what the tone would be or whatever. You know, I just sat there, and it's very different than going to school where somebody really tells you about, you know, gives you a problem that has already been solved. And just being in a room with people who you learn how to problem solve, you know that nothing is impossible. And that's what we do very much with you know, people who come and work at our studio. You know, you make the coffee, but you get to sit in a meeting with Chris Nolan or, you know, Zack Snyder or whoever, you know, and even if you don't say anything, somehow your presence is still part of solving the problem. The most important thing to learn as a musician and as a composer is not how to play well, but it's how to listen. You know, and one of the things is when you're a young assistant or something and you're sitting in the room, your job is to listen, you know, and your job is to hear the process and learn the process and listen and figure out why some things work and why things don't work. And it just takes time as well. You know, I mean, I remember the first things I was writing with Stanley. I mean, they were horrible. But, you know, after a while they got a little better, you know, because I learned something, and unfortunately everything takes time, and you just have to commit to spending that time. And at the same time, I think it's important that people who have a good career give time to other people.